Alright, what's up guys? We're back with another video on the 240SX and the update on the engine swap that we're going to do. The last video I was talking about how I was going to pull out the LS and change directions on the car, and we were going to get rid of that. We had an LS turbo in here with a T56 transmission. The LS had been in here for so many years, like a decade or some ridiculous amount of time. And then the T56 had been in here for about a year-ish or so, and I've been driving on it and decided that I was ready to move on to another project on this chassis and go to a different engine, a different transmission. Basically, I'm abandoning the LS platform. I'm selling every single thing I've got that's LS related, and I'm going back to my roots. So I'm going back to 4 cylinders, rotary, and maybe 6 cylinders, and maybe 5 cylinders, but definitely no V8s anymore. I'm done with all that. It's not my thing. I respect it. It's cool if you're into it. I'm happy for you, but I'm just a small motor guy, apparently, and I've finally just come to terms with that. So let me flip the camera around here. So I listed everything on Marketplace last Thursday or Wednesday or something, and as of today on Tuesday, every single thing is sold except for my Monster Twin Disc clutch kit is still available, and the Mega Squirt ECU and LS specific harness with fuse box, the whole engine management and harness system is still available. Also, everything else has sold. So the T56 is gone, the turbo kit is gone, and the engine is has been paid for as of today too. So I had a local guy reach out to me, and he wanted to buy this, and he came and paid for it, and he dropped off that. So apparently I am now in the build a drift car business because for some reason I agreed to install all this into his car for him using his swap kit. So he provided a CD09 did I say that right? CD009 Nissan transmission with this cool adapter bell housing and all the cool parts that go with it, and clutch, which should allow it to bolt straight up to the engine. Although now I'm realizing he does not have a flywheel. So I'm going to have to reach out to him and talk to him about what flywheel he wants me to use, because we did not talk about that. So that's interesting. I totally had not thought about that at all until this moment. So anyway, he's also got a bunch of parts in the trunk to make the swap happen. So yeah, I hope he doesn't care if I put this car on YouTube. I'll actually get his approval before I do this. So if you're seeing this, then he said it would be fine to do that. So he dropped this off this morning. This is his, this is actually a Silvia, a real deal legit right-hand drive Silvia. And I don't know where he got it from or how it got to America, but it has been converted by somebody to become a drift car. It's got lots of cool parts on it. It's got some sort of insane angle kit down there. It's got this really neat bash bar, and really cool, it's got this totally completely removable lower rad support. I've never seen this before. I didn't know this was available, but this whole piece right here is like a cap that caps over your frame rail, and then the lower rad support actually bolts to it, goes across. It's got all the right holes for everything stock to bolt to it, and then yeah, that's pretty sick. And then the bash bar bolts out there where your normal bumper support would bolt to, so that is pretty daggum sick, if I do say so myself. What else has this thing got? I don't even know. It just got here. It's got a fuel pressure regulator. It's got this really nice overflow. I guess that's just radiator overflow. And it's got some insane brakes on it. These ginormous rear calipers are bigger than the front calipers. I don't know that brand, Sika. I think I've heard of that, maybe. But that caliper is huge. It's even bigger than the front, which is hilarious to me. But yeah, so he wanted me to install this stuff into his car, and I agreed to do that for a price, and he was happy to do that. So yeah, so good news for my project is the majority of it has been sold. So now I have the funds to put into the next phase for my car. So I'll work on his car first and get it done while I'm sort of trying to accumulate the parts for my car. So I have a K24 located. I have a guy pulling the K24 out of his parts car as we speak. It's about an hour and a half from where I live. So probably tomorrow, if he has it out, I will go pick that up. And I'm really stoked on that because it is actually a K24A2 is what it is. I'm still learning about K motors, but there's a ton of K motors and variations of the K24. and the K20. And so when you start looking into it, you find out that there's a bunch of stuff on Marketplace, but you don't really know which one to get or which one not to get. And so it turns out the one out of the Acura TSX that they made for just a few years, I forget the years, maybe it's like 06 to 08 or something like that, is the actual version of the K that is the best all the way around, including K20 and K24. All of them taken into account. There's one that's the best, and it's the K24A2 that comes in the Acura TSX. And this guy happens to be parting out a TSX, and I made him an offer, and he accepted it. So looks like I'm going to be getting the very best one, which is super cool, and it's local, which is cool, and the price is right in line, which is cool. And I guess the best thing about the K24A2 is it has better rods and pistons, I read. So that's really good because we're going to be pushing some boost through her, so we want the best rods and pistons we can get. Also, it has, oh yeah, I just read this yesterday. It has, correct me if I'm wrong, but it has 3-lobe VTEC instead of 2-lobe VTEC, which some people were saying 2-lobe VTEC is fake VTEC. It's not even real, or it's not even full VTEC or something like that. And then I think somebody said maybe it only has VTEC on the intake cam and not the exhaust cam. But the TSX engine, the K24A2, has VTEC on both cams. I think that's what I read. But anyway, I think that's the main advantages of the K24A2. I don't know if the head is any different besides the VTEC stuff. As far as valves or actual ports, I don't know on that. But anyway, so we got the motor locked in. Should be going to pick that up. The 8HP 70 Dodge transmission I still have. It's behind. It's in storage, so I just need to pull that into the shop and take a look at that, make sure it's still good. I haven't really put an eye on it for a couple years. So now we need an adapter plate to mate the two together. I think I'm going to go with the Adamat, a company called Adamat from Poland. I actually had their adapter to mount the 8HP to my LS a couple years ago, and looks like they make the 8HP to K24 adapter as well. So probably going to order one of those up here real soon. I think Seems Legit Garage is the only U.S. dealer for that, so I'll have to go through those guys, which is fine. So we'll get the adapter plate, and then we'll be able to bolt things together and set them in the engine bay, and that could actually happen very soon. I need to order that adapter plate ASAP, and then that's the bolting stuff together could happen very, very soon if I do that. Where else are we on this project? What do we need to talk about? So the cross member has already been built for the 8HP, so we don't have to build a cross member. The drive shaft has already been built, so we don't have to build a drive shaft. We are going to have to build engine mounts, and we're going to have to take a close look at the oil pan to cross member clearance. I'll show you on the car here what I got. So this is what we're working with on the cross member. You have to excuse all the wiring harness stuff that I haven't pulled out of the car yet. Basically, this is the stock 240 cross member that I notched for the LS years and years ago. And it looks pretty crazy. You would think that that would twist and not hold up, but I've ran 9s in the quarter mile on this thing, and it's never had a problem. No issues whatsoever. So we're going to stay with that. And then these are the Corvette motor mounts. These are an aftermarket version of a Corvette motor mount. And so we're just going to build off of that platform right there up to the K24, and that should work out fine. My only real question is how is the oil pan on the K24 going to play with what I've got here? And is it going to play with what I've got here? I really have no idea. I'm hoping I don't have to buy some sort of a hyper expensive rear-wheel drive, specific K motor oil pan from some company, because it'll be stupid expensive like everything else these days. So yeah, if the stock pan hits, my first choice is going to be cut more or cut on the pan, which I can do. And then my last choice will be buy a swap pan. So we'll see how that plays out, but it should be fine. We've already got clearance on the tunnel for the 8HP from when it was in here in the past, so we have to do no clearancing there whatsoever. So that's nice. Yeah, clearance-wise, I think everything will be fine. I assume the K24 clears the hood, but I could be in for a rude awakening on that. I am absolutely not cutting my Sylvia hood. I'll tell you that right now. These hoods are so hard to find, and I put in mad crazy hours fixing and repainting this one, and it's dang near perfect. So if the hood is not clear, the K24, the hood's coming off, and it'll go into storage, and I'll run no hood until I can find some other solution. So we'll see what happens on that. And then, of course, the whole engine bay is going to go through a big refresh. I have to fix all the holes I hacked in here. I have to fix all that stuff, make it all nice, and then sand and repaint everything. Strip everything bare, sand and repaint everything. Get it all fresh again. So that'll be a whole chapter of the project that we'll cover on video a little bit. Probably just do a big montage and do it in 30 seconds or something. And then I got to finish this out. I did a removable core support years and years ago. Comes off with two 10mm bolts on both sides, and then this whole piece just comes off. And that's actually worked out super great. I've had no negative issues from that whatsoever. But I never finished out the bodywork and made it nice, so we will do that. Had hood pins one time, a long time ago, so I probably should fill that. But anyway, I'm super stoked and looking forward to making this engine bay super clean like it once was, and setting that K24 down in there. And then I got to pick a valve cover color for the K24, which I'm actually excited about. I'm not a ricer. I'm not into the colors that much. I usually make everything black. But I did do these yellow calipers years and years ago. I had them powder coated, took them apart completely, had them powder coated, reassembled them, rebuilt them. I still have the powder coat. I still have the powder coat that is that color. So I'm thinking I might have the valve cover powder coated that color so that stuff matches. And then I'll roll with the yellow, black, and white color scheme that I set out to do so many years ago. And we'll get back on track with that. Either that or I'll probably will do red, which does not go with yellow, but red just looks good. So I'll think about that. But yeah, so got that going on. And so the other thing on the whole swap, I've been doing mad crazy research on ECUs to control the engine and the Dodge 8HP70 transmission. Whew, there's a lot of options on ECUs out there now, which is good. It's really good. It gives people, options and choices. But if you're starting from scratch and you need engine control and transmission control, there's really only one option that makes the most sense, and that's max ECU. After all my research, that's what the conclusion I came to was, if you want to control an engine and a transmission, you need that on your project. Max ECU is the only option that makes any kind of financial sense or just logical sense based on what their capabilities are. So Max is pretty amazing in the fact that every single ECU they sell from the bottom of the range to the top of the range can all also control the Dodge 8HP70 transmission, which is unheard of. No other ECU maker has that, both built into one computer. That's insane. So you can literally buy their $750 Max ECU Mini and use that as a standalone transmission controller if you wanted to, if that makes sense for your project, or you could use that to control your engine and your transmission. So $750 to control, I think it would have to be a 4-cylinder engine for that ECU, plus an 8-speed automatic. And at that price point, that's insane. It's just unbelievable. So part of me is tempted to go ultra cheap and do that just to prove a point and to see if I can do it and to show other people that it could be done if I can do it, because that's a game-changing price point for that much stuff. So I think people would like to see that done and be able to watch those kind of videos. But the problem with that is the Max ECU Mini, it cannot control an electronic throttle body. It doesn't have enough outputs for that, which is okay. You can still run the 8-speed without that, but you do lose the ability to blip the throttle on downshifts because you just got a manual cable throttle at that point. So you lose a really cool feature that modern cars have when you downshift, it rev matches. And it is a really cool thing to have. So if you want that feature, you have to step up to the Max ECU Sport or anything higher than that. So the Sport is the lowest version they offer that can control an electronic throttle body. So that's the one I'll probably go with. To make matters more complex and more expensive, I'm going to see if I can swing the Max ECU PDM20, which is their power distribution module called a PDM, if you guys know what that is. Basically, if I get the PDM, that will allow me to cut out every single fuse, every single relay, and literally every single ounce of stock wiring in this car. Throw it in the trash. It's ancient. I don't want it. It's old. The fuses go bad on me. The relays actually go bad on me. Several times left me stranded, and well, not stranded. Well, yeah, left me with a car that wouldn't work because the 30-year-old relay just refused to click anymore. It's just worn out. So I'm like jonesing to get rid of all the wiring that's original to this car and replace it all. So the PDM allows you to do that. The PDM is the main brain, which will tell your headlights to come on, your turn signals to come on, your wipers to come on, your horn to honk, your taillights. It also sends power to your ECU and anything else you want. It'll control. It's a power distribution module. So zero fuses, zero relays, all electronic, minimal amount of wiring. It's also CAN enabled, so it communicates over CAN to the ECU itself and functions as additional inputs and outputs for the ECU. So if you have an ECU like the Max ECU Sport, which has a fairly limited amount of inputs, if you do get the PDM20, you get a bunch more inputs with it. So it can allow you to buy less ECU, which saves you money and gives you all the other benefits I mentioned. So I'm weighing everything out and seeing what makes the most sense. But I'm leaning towards the Max ECU Sport with the PDM20 for everything. And I've talked to Drazen Mead from Mead Motorsport Tuning. He's local to me. And he's going to be doing the tuning for me, and he's advising me on what to buy and so forth. So I've got Drazen in my corner here for the tuning, which is honestly going to make this project possible, because the tuning aspect of this is, I think, probably very, very difficult for somebody who's never done it before. And so having him available to do all that for me is going to ensure that this project actually happens. So super stoked on that. But yeah, this video is getting a little bit long, so I'm going to cut us off there. And if you guys have any questions or advice or thoughts on any aspect of this, let me know down below. And I'll reply to your comments down there. Otherwise, give me a sub to follow along the project. We're going to be making a lot more videos on this whole thing all fall and winter here until we get it running, and then more videos after that. So give me a like, subscribe, comment, do all that stuff, and I'll see you guys on the next one.